Hey folks, it's Sam. As you see, I'm here talking about July 2024 Vedic astrology forecast. Yes, it's July 2024 already. A lot of shifts ahead with planets moving from Gemini into Cancer, even into Leo, Mars moving into Taurus, a bunch of other things. And of course, this is a free video that I do for the public, but there's also the opportunity as a member to get the detailed month ahead, the month of July. So these are the things that I'll be talking about here today. And we hope, and I hope that you will stick around to get the overview. As you see, I also have the calendar and we're going to be going over that. Please like the video. Clicking like helps a lot more than you know. It pushes the video higher in relevant video searches. Also, please leave a nice comment. Comments also help more than you know as it raises the video in searches. Many times with hundreds of likes, there are only a dozen comments and they can be disproportionately negative. So be positive. Let me know if you like this. Even just a few words really helps. So subscribe, ring the bell to get notified of upcoming videos. Yeah, and there'll be thousands of people that watch this, and of the thousands, about less than half are actually subscribers. So subscribe and then ring that bell, because the bell will allow you to get notified of upcoming videos like this. It's really important. I have the bells, the bell clicked for all of my subscriptions. That's why I subscribe. So these forecasts are really helpful and powerful. So you can see this calendar here, which is what I'm going to go over, these dates. And by the way, I want to thank Casey Scott at Gold Star Astrology for this calendar. You can find him at Gold Star Astrology on Instagram and other social media platforms, but he put this together. You can even get this calendar. So again, instead of asking me where to get it, this is where you get it. Gold Star Astrology on Instagram. So check it out. He put together this. He's one of my students. He's been studying a long time, but you see he has the new moons, which we're going to have a new moon in July 5th. I'm going to try to not say the wrong month because it's hard for me to believe it's July. But then we have the full moon here will be happening in Capricorn. And then within that, we have the different moments when the planets will be changing signs. So that's what we're going to go over. But first we start with where the planets are. So you get this overview. We're starting with Saturn here. He just turned retrograde. So this is an important shift that just happened. It's a long-term shift. Saturn turning retrograde. And again, he just started that. And that Saturn retrograde is very important for long-term shift. You see, Saturn is retrograde half the time. So we're meant to be reflecting on our commitments, the things we're focused on, about half the time. And so he just started his retrograde cycle. So it's a time for reflection, introspection, and understanding the nature of Saturn and your capacity for reflection and introspection and all of that is also a really big thing that's going to be going on for the next several months. You may have felt like your commitments and the things that you're committed to have sort of ground to a halt, even though there's a lot of sort of disillusion that's been happening with the eclipses in Pisces. It's like, okay, things feel like they're kind of dissolving, but what do I commit to? What am I focused on? What do I need to concentrate on? And Saturn is like, I don't know, I'm kind of stuck. I'm feeling sort of stuck, right? At the same time, you see Mars is in Aries right now. And Mars is going to move into Taurus. That's one of the big shifts that's also happening, is Mars is moving from Aries into Taurus. So right now, part of us, again, has this Saturn stationary retrograde, which has us feeling like, okay, I want to commit to something, but I'm not sure what. Mars is in Aries going, yes, I'm excited about the next thing, kind of at the same time. The analogy is like a foot on the gas and a foot on the brake. They both kind of feel like I'm enthusiastic about the next thing, but I'm not sure what it's going to be. So Saturn and Mars are very big right now, and Mars is going to be shifting into Taurus. Again, that's another one of the big shifts. So both Saturn and Mars being so prominent now, and also Rahu and Ketu are also big themes right now. They're a big part of our life. And by the way, I'm going to drop a link here, but I just decided to start doing some 30-minute assessments because I've been doing a lot of readings lately, and so much of this this transit has been prominent in people's lives right now. I know things are dissolving, but what do I commit to? What do I concentrate on? And here's what I'm enthusiastic about doing next, but do I have the courage to do it? And is it worth all the trouble and effort? And what's worth fighting for? These are all Mars, Saturn themes, like I said, because they're so prominent right now in the sky. If you wanted me to take a 30-minute look at those things in your chart, again, it's very powerful. I'll drop the link underneath this video, but as it says, this is the overcoming difficulty reading, because that's really what those, quote, difficult planets give to us. Again, it's very short-sighted to call Mars and Saturn like they're the malefics, they're the bad ones, they punish us. Mars gets us fighting, Saturn makes us afraid, or whatever punishes us. That's just on the surface. All the greatness in your life comes from these planets being able to face your challenges with enthusiasm and not destroy your allies, which is Mars. Saturn is about, general approach to fear, facing reality, being alone, persevering, willingness to commit to things that are difficult. Again, Mars, your ability to fight the good fight rather than be overwhelmed by frustrations. But then also the nodal axis in your chart. Again, because the nodes have been so prominent lately, wherever the nodes are in your chart as well, etc. So you can visit that link because it's a very important thing right now. And even with this July forecast, again, with Mars starting off in Aries, but then Mars goes into Taurus and joins Jupiter. Again, that's a big kind of cosmic shift. And again, Mars had been in Pisces with Rahu, again, which is more kind of this confusion about, okay, what am I enthusiastic about? Now he's in Aries, so we feel it, but he's going to go in Taurus, and Saturn's going retrograde. So again, if you think that could be helpful, then let me know. These outer planets are very strong right now. And again, this is also why it's good to get this type of reading, because Saturn is very strong in Aquarius, right? He's in his own sign. So we're ready to really hear that lesson, right? We're really ready to learn the lesson of Saturn because he's in Aquarius now. So when the planets are powerful in the sky, we're ready to get their lesson. Mars is really powerful in Aries now, so we're ready to be empowered. We're ready for that shot of courage in our life. So these are a few overviews of the outer planet, of some of the long-term effects. And of course, Jupiter is also still in Taurus, where he's going to be for the next year, through next May. But so with that in mind, we can look at the calendar. Again, this is the calendar that we're blessed to have from Casey Scott. And again, check out his website. You can get this calendar yourself. You can actually download it. And so as you see, we start off, the first real event of July is July 5th. We have that lunation, that new moon in Gemini. Sun and moon come together and starts this new cycle. And it's the sign of Gemini where this cycle, begins. So it's a time to be really considering new, like a new course, new possibilities, new ways of learning and understanding things, and questioning your own dogma, your own dogmatic beliefs, right? That's the big, quality of Mercury of the new moon in Gemini, right? And that new moon will also have Venus there at the very end of Gemini. So again, I'll do a full reading of this because these lunations are very important. But by the way, you also get that new moon forecast when you join at the Examiner Lemurian level. You also get that new moon forecast for your sign, because again, these cycles are very important, not just in general for all of us, but that you understand how it relates to your sign, right? How it relates to your sign. If you're a Scorpio, that new moon in Gemini is happening in your 8th house. It's the beginning of an 8th house cycle, which comes after the recent 7th house cycle, right? So these things also build on each other. Right now, we're all still in this cycle of Taurus. Like for me as a Gemini, it's been a 12th house cycle. It's been a 12th house month because the last new moon happened in Taurus in my 12th house. It's about to become in my 1st house as Gemini, etc. So this is what you're supposed to be doing, tracking these cycles all the time throughout the year. So this is a big shift Friday, July 5th, this new moon in Gemini, the beginning of a new cycle. And then the very next day, Venus moves into Cancer on July 6th. Now, Venus has been in Gemini and she moves into Cancer July 6th. So that's where our feelings or our love and, sense of wanting to bring beauty and joy into our life and our interactions with others comes into the nurturing sign of Cancer. It's more about devotional love. We'll be very supported. It's a time of devotion and, again, a place where we can bring that natural love of other people and beauty, appreciation of beauty, and bring it into the heart. But it's also where we can feel somewhat disappointed with our desires, because Venus is also about desires, and we have a lot of disappointment. But rather than just being disappointed, we have to own up to what they are. Again, the highest culmination of Venus isn't desire. It's the desire for beauty and happiness. But ultimately, we need to find it in all things and find it in our own heart. That's the big possibility and the big potential with Venus in Cancer, which happens from July 6th until July 31st, when you see she moves into Leo. So again, this is why it's so nice to have this calendar. You see, it's actually 25 days Venus goes through Cancer, right? So during that time, it'll be very much a lot of devotional potential and elevating your desires. And it's a way to see your loved ones, like those who have desires with, like romantic partners or whatever. It's a way to see them in a more transcendent light, rather than just how they mistreat you or how you don't feel appreciated. Notice, how much do you appreciate them? How much do you love them? How devoted are you actually? And there's no reason to turn it into a right and wrong, good, bad drama scenario. It's just to feel the truth of that and notice the difference between your desires for beauty and connection and the transcendent state of love and awareness. So then the next big shift happens July 12th, when Mars goes into Taurus. So again, I just showed you that on the calendar. Mars starts in Aries, so we still have like 12 days of Mars really fired up, wanting to correct the things that are wrong. Mars energy underneath it all is to fight the battles that we need to fight. And, it's very easy to say, oh, fighting, I would prefer to not fight. I prefer blah, blah, blah. No, you don't. You fight. We all fight. It's just, who are you fighting? Why are you fighting? Are you frustrated? Are you fighting after getting, again, your feelings hurt, and then you're just, instead of being aggressive, you're passive aggressive? Again, whatever it is, we're all some version of all of it. But there are things that we're all willing to fight for. And what are they? Are they really worth fighting for? And ultimately, the only thing really worth fighting for is some type of spiritual truth, right? And fighting our own internal weaknesses, our own emotional weaknesses, our own preconceptions. And again, when Mars is powerful, we're willing to do that. That's why his exaltation sign is Capricorn, where there's maturity. His debilitation sign is Cancer, where there's childishness and, but I want to be happy. Right? And we're just being a baby and frustrated. So when Mars is in Taurus, like it is here, it's much more subdued than in Aries. So there can be some frustration about certain things, but it's also where we take the enthusiasm of Mars in Aries and bring it into things that are very tangible, practical. He's going to be joined Jupiter the whole time. So there is that possibility that we're really fighting the good fight, because Mars, Jupiter will be joined, and they'll be trying to align our fighting spirit with a virtuous outcome, a virtuous goal. And then the sun moves into Cancer. So every month, around the middle of the month, the sun moves into the next sign. So you see the sun moves into Cancer from Gemini on the 15th. So the sun is that light. After he moves into Cancer, there'll be much more sensitivity, less intellectual, like now we're trying to figure things out. Sun in Gemini is like, okay, well, what does this really mean? Should I just believe everything I'm told? Should I just believe everything I already believe? So right now, when the Sun is in Gemini, we're questioning things. So hopefully you're gathering good information. You're gathering good data. Because when you're gathering good information, then when the Sun goes into Cancer, you can bring that into the heart and use it to fortify your sense of peace and certainty. And you'll understand things, and then you can relax and settle in the heart rather than bringing all that restlessness into the heart. So then we see Mercury moves into Leo. So Mercury has been in Cancer the whole month. He goes into Leo on July 17th. I'm sorry, that's July 19th. July 19th, Mercury moves into Leo, where the mind is fast, it's fiery, illuminated. We're trying to figure things out, but we're trying to, again, kind of burn through the emotional or the intellectual mistakes and things like that. So Mercury in Leo is very, again, it's a very fast-moving mind, but we have to be careful not to polarize things too much and see things in a sort of black and white way. Mercury is really the energy where we're just curious. When we're curious, we're not necessarily in a hurry to resolve and finish the thing. Mercury energy is where we're trying to get the story straight. Again, notice the story in your mind. Is it, are you trying to be accurate, or are you trying to like figure out if it's right or wrong, good or bad? Which one? This one, that one, this one or that one. It's good or bad, good or bad. That's not really Mercury. That's Mercury like turning things into judgments. Judgments are about Mars and Jupiter. Mercury is not about a judgment. It's about understanding. It's an interpretation. For example, is one language better than another? Which language is better? This is the right language. That's the wrong language. None of them are right or wrong. They're just words that interpret things. Maybe some words are more clarifying or whatever, but that's Mercury. Mercury is accuracy, correctness, discrimination. So again, in Leo is about, well, what do I do? What is it, right or wrong? And so the information gets turned into these, it's very easy for them to be judgments and opinions. So be careful of that. Then we have the full moon in Capricorn. It's in Uttarashada Nakshatra on July 21st. This is also Guru Purnima. This year, Guru Purnima is in Capricorn. That's the day to honor the Guru. So I'll be talking about this obviously more, but the full moon in Capricorn will be to establish a harmonizing point to the new moon. Now, of course, the new moon had just happened in Gemini, but this full moon in Capricorn is anticipating the next new moon in Cancer. But it really means that we'll be very full of that Capricorn energy, which is ruled by Saturn. We just talked about how important Saturn is these days, especially with the retrograde motion of Saturn that just started. And so, again, if you're interested in that reading, that I talked about, that, this is definitely still available. You could check that out. Again, it's definitely it's a great way to understand your those difficulties. And again, what can happen on this full moon in Capricorn and that Capricorn energy is we feel the pressure of Saturn. So again, I'll be talking more about that as we get to it. And then the last big shift happens at the end of July with Venus in Leo. You see Venus is flying through Cancer. It's about this speed. Venus takes about 30 days here. It's 25 days. So at the end, then Venus goes into Leo. It'll be joined Mercury there. And so again, Venus in Leo is also that fiery, passionate, dynamic energy, which can make us feel, again, kind of very desiring of attention, of praise. It can be a difficult place, but it's also quite affectionate and warm. Venus in Leo wants to give and radiate a lot of affection, but there's also quite a bit of passion and expectation, filtered through the ego. It can be a kind of princess, on your knees before the queen or the king or whatever it might be, nature. So again, as you see below here, it says the detailed forecast. You can get the forecast, this July 2024 forecast. Again, this is just an overview of the important points. And again, it's very powerful, even just in that regard, to see how, where we start and then how these planets move. But for my members, again, you can see here for the examiner Lemurian level, you'll get, and I'm going to do this in the next day or so before the beginning of July. I'll do a day breakdown of every single day of the month. It usually winds up being a half hour or so, where you see every month, every day of the month shifting, this detailed forecast. And you also get the full moon and the new moon forecast as well. So again, when you see this Lemurian level, very detailed live video of the coming month, a new moon forecast for your sign to stay aligned, a full moon video for you to stay aligned. So again, this new moon and full moon video at the Lemurian level, again, it's only $9.99. You not only get the powerful overview of the month, but you get the full moon and new moon for your sign. And then there's also other levels, in particular, the Visionary $19.99. You also get a weekly Vedic forecast where I break down every single day in the Vedic Panchanga. Again, because each day of the month, every day is a new Tithi or lunar phase, not just full moons and new moons, but first day, Dvitya, Tritiya, Chaturthi, Panchami. Each day the moon moves into a new nakshatra. So I break that down all the time so you can stay up to date with that Vedic forecast every day. And then the Oracle 5D Avatar level is also access to ongoing classes. I've been doing a lot of master classes on Avashtas, Lajitati Avashtas, the overall Avashtas. Those things are available at the Oracle 5D Avatar level. So you can get that as well. So again, but besides that, I hope that you have a great July 2024 and check out those other things. And that also includes this overcoming difficulty assessment. You'll find the link there if that works for you also. Thanks for watching. Don't forget to like, comment, share, and subscribe to the channel.